Live.
Yup.
We're good?
Yup.
Yup. All right. Okay. In 2, 1.
Welcome to Nintendo Dads episode 135, recorded on June 28, 2017. On tonight's episode, we discuss the massive, huge announcement from Nintendo regarding the Super NES Classic Edition, plus so much more, and your responses to Justin Asks. Zach, cue the music.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Nintendo Dads Podcast. My name is Zach Erickson, and tonight is June 28th, 2017. Joining me tonight for this oddly nostalgia sort of throwback threesome is Justin Masson. What's going on, Justin?
I don't think I ever want to be heard in the words nostalgic throwback threesome with us ever again. I don't, yeah, it's going well, though. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate that. This is such an odd opening. I don't know what to do with that now.
As soon as it came out, here's the deal, is that as soon as I said it, it was confusing. Speaking of confusing, Jesse Waldeck from VGTribune.com. What's going on, Jesse?
Things are going well. I don't have any quips today. I can't. My brain is so fried. It's been a busy week.
Yeah, that's fair. And of course, not with us today is the absent Marty Estes, the man from the South.
When I was saying this throwback threesome, but
I felt like I needed to clarify that. I mean, we got some feedback from last week that our episode was a little bit hot, so I want to stop us and get us right back on the track before things gonna look crazy. I just picture someone's like, I'll just go give him another go. Oh no, 30 seconds in, I'm out of this thing. No. So. Let's put us back on track. So Marty's absent. Happy to jump back in the announcing seat for our opening, but he's actually on a mission out on with his church actually, I believe, this week. So we're wishing him
doing the camp business. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, and I blame Megadads for
our off the rail commentary. Yeah. So. But I will say, we'll bring it up here, right? We did receive feedback about some of the commentary, and thank you for giving us that feedback. It's good to know where our audience sits. We definitely don't want to offend and upset.
But also,
I do. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I want to recognize we got feedback on both sides.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Some people appreciated the more colorful.
Yeah, it was a little bit. It was a little bit of a Nintendo Dads After Dark, early in the morning, I guess I would call that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right, though. We love the Mega Dads.
Yeah, right on. So,
speaking of Mega Dads, did you see we put up a video on our YouTube channel of the booth tour?
Yeah, of the booth tour.
Right? That's pretty awesome. And we've actually got a new video coming out in a couple days from now, where they have played the games. We show some footage of that, and they tell us their commentary on it. Yeah, tons of good stuff on our YouTube channel. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel, Zach?
I do, yeah.
You should. It's a good button to click.
Yep, I do. Right on. Well,
I do, and I also have the notification bell on, so I get emails whenever.
So you have gotten nothing but emails this week.
I am on the notification squad everywhere.
2 Justin Asks this week, plus the video. It's crazy. Speaking of clicking buttons, you know who also clicks buttons?
I do on my soundboard.
Yeah, you do.
And the news is brought to us by
Patreon.com. Who's doing this? You or I?
Sure, whatever. You do it.
Well, I feel like now I've stepped into your toes.
Patreon.com/Nintendo Dads. Which, by the way, I was going to say before we even talk about Patreon, but if you are not following us on the YouTubes or the Patreons or the Twitter, we're gonna be launching a cool contest this week. I'm just nailing down the final details here, so I'm going to be doing that. So make sure people are following us over there. I'm going to post it. I'm going to post a video on YouTube and all that stuff. Lots of fun ways of figuring that out. Anyways, Justin, tell us about Patreon real quick.
Yeah, you can head over to patreon.com/Nintendo Dads, and for as little as $1 a month, help us support and create amazing content like this. Big thanks to over the 40 Patreon supporters who every single month give us a little bit of scratch to make this possible. We greatly appreciate it. Again, if you're interested, head over to patreon.com/Nintendo Dads and sign up. Zach, what's going on this week? What's in the news, y'all?
Oh, nothing big. No big deal.
All right, great episode, guys. Have a good night. So I'm up at 4:00 for this. Go away.
So there's a few big things. I think one of the big things is Pokemon Go raids are now live, right? Let's lead with the big story, right? This is the big story of the week.
Hard pressing news here.
Yeah, actually, I mean, we could say this to what we've been playing, but we might as well just talk about it now. Have you guys tried the new raid system in Pokemon Go?
I have not. I actually got the notification that a raid was occurring, like when I logged in, and I was going to go figure out what was going on, but that was a lot of effort to walk, so I chose not to.
Yeah, I've participated in almost one per day ever since I was able to. Cause I think I missed one night. I just turned 28.
Mm-hmm.
So at the time when they lowered, because they started off at 35, so you could only do it if you're 35 or above, and then they slowly been lowering this level. When they lowered it to 28, I was still 27, so I couldn't do it yet. So when they lowered it to 25, then I could start. So
I think it's lower than that now. I don't actually know what the level is now.
It's now 20.
Is that's probably as low as it's going to go, right? Like I can't imagine they're going to go lower than
that. Maybe. I don't know. Because when it was 22, my son was still 21, so he couldn't join me in one of the nights. So
yeah,
but now he can because it's been lowered to 20.
Yeah. So basically, how it works, if you don't know, they've revamped the gym system, which I thought when they did that they were going to update the battle system, which they did not. And I think that's actually my biggest disappointment with the whole update is, yeah, no, you're still doing the exact same gym battle type thing, even for raids. This seems to be the battle system that they are staying with, right? As far as like actual game mechanics goes. You're still doing the tap and then the swipe to dodge, which is very imprecise and not very good. But basically how it works now is that while your Pokemon are in a gym, they kind of are. There's this weird sort of like CP that your Pokemon is they calculate a different CP based on a bunch of different hidden number type things, and like it'll show a little health or a heart now, and then as they're defeated, the heart will decrease until eventually they just are no longer motivated and they leave the gym. So that's honestly, I feel like the Pokemon gym system is less clear now than it was before. Like it's very confusing kind of how it works, but it also seems to be more fair and less about like, oh well, the same 6 Pokemon are just like filled every gym all the time and you can't beat any of them. It helps go back and forth a little bit more. The raids, however, are a lot cooler because basically every once in a while, instead of fighting the gym, basically for the hour before a raid goes live, there will be an egg there.
2 hours.
And so, is it 2 hours?
Yeah,
and
they spawn 2 hours before it starts.
Yeah, and so basically that's like your motivator to be like, oh man, when this raid goes live, we want to be the team who owns the gym, because then you get a higher chance, like you get more Pokeballs once you defeat the raid. Am I understanding that right, Jesse?
I don't think who owns the gym matters. What
I think you do get. I think there's somewhat of a bonus though, isn't there? Like
if you're there with 3 people and each of you are of a different color, so if I'm Team Red, if I did more damage to the opponent than the others, I get more of a bonus at the end in terms of more premier balls to have more chances to try to catch it.
Right. Well, and the thing was too that maybe what it is instead is that basically you capture that gym, and then as long as that raid is open, your Pokemon is sort of like protected, and you are earning coins for yourself, and the other team can't usurp you. Right? Is that like, that seems more of what it is then, or it must be, because
that could be true. I haven't tried to attack an enemy gym during a raid. I haven't. Yeah. So I don't know if they block that or not.
Yeah. So basically, if you beat there's 5 different difficulty tiers. So far, we've only seen up to difficulty tier 4. 5 is actually considered like probably what they're going to be releasing the legendaries with. And so you go and defeat, like, they're very super powered sort of Pokemon. Yesterday I was at the West Edmonton Mall, and There was a Bayleaf. It was only difficulty level 1, and I defeated it by myself and then caught it, which was kind of cool. And then there are now 5 gyms in the mall. There used to only be 3. There are now 5. I think a couple of them may be sponsored. Like companies behind the scenes can go and pay to have their business be like a gym or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no, Sprint stores do it, and then Starbucks do it. At least here in the States.
Yeah, and so like at the mall, I think they must have done that because there's more gyms here now. But I went to a different gym in the mall, and there was a Croconaw, and so I battled that one, and it was a little bit more difficult. There was 3 of us that time, and it was actually it got away. I wasn't able to catch it. I don't think they run away automatically, but it was much more. Its behavior was much more erratic and like would swat my balls away a lot more often. Clip that one out. And it was really like I wasted probably half of my Pokeballs using or trying to catch it, and it was just really difficult.
Well, when you try to catch it, you only use the Premier Balls you get as rewards for beating the raid. You don't
get them for that particular event too, right? It's not like
you cannot store up Premier Balls.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I had 11 attempts at one this afternoon and failed. Where my brother-in-law caught it on this first one.
Yeah. So I do like it. It is a very cool system. It actually adds additional sort of motivators to be like, oh man, we are out right now. We know that this particular Pokemon is at this particular gym. Let's go over there right now and see if we can get it. And it actually kind of broadcasts that from as long as you can see it on your phone, you know it's there. You know you just have to go and defeat it and then catch it.
Yeah, if you click the nearby button, there's now a raid tab. You can swipe to see any nearby raids. And if it's still in egg form, it gives you the time that it'll hatch. And if they're already hatched, it'll tell you how much time's left before they despawn.
Yeah. Sorry, Jesse. How do you do that to find out about the raids?
You swipe.
The bottom right hand corner where it'll show like what Pokemon are nearby.
The nearby in the lower right corner.
Oh, there's a raid button. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so it'll show where the raids are. Currently.
Yeah, I had this last weekend. We were kind of playing in the field, not too far off from me, kind of like a school. And the kids were playing, and I was like, okay, we'll just check if there's any Pokemon by it. And I opened it up, and I got like this notification came across, like there's a raid near you, starting soon. And then it like kind of zoomed into where it was and zoomed out to where I was, and it was about a couple blocks away with the kids. And I was like, I won't walk, but it was kind of interesting to be like, how do I, how can I very easily access that and find out where it is? But that's really cool, actually.
Yeah, it would only show you if you're close enough to a gym that you can see it on the map.
Yeah.
From my house, there are no gyms visible. So even if a raid is nearby, I won't see it unless I drive closer to one.
Did you know? Sorry, this is totally random. I'm in this right now. I don't know where I got this hat, but I'm assuming I got it because I have Magikarp Jump on my phone.
You have the Magikarp hat?
I have a Magikarp hat, which is
earlier this year when they did the Magikarp event when a crap ton of Magikarps were spawning. They gave that away for free, so everyone could.
They did?
Yeah.
Okay, because that's just about the best thing I've ever seen. Like, look at that.
I do also. I was actually just going through that as well. I also do enjoy the microtransactions of poor boy hats, a top hat with a Pokemon sticker on it.
Yeah.
And then you have to exchange. He looks like a boss. What he does.
You can't compete with that.
No, you can't. Like, why? That's. I'd like you to buy that yourself and just wear that around all day.
No, one more thing about raids.
Etsy.
So gyms also now have a wheel you can spin. So if you spin a wheel at a gym, you will get one raid token per day.
Yep.
And you're only allowed to keep one. So if you spin another
gym though, isn't it?
No, you can use it anywhere. It's not just for that gym.
But you
you only get one free one a day. So if you want to partake in 2 raids, you're going to have to either collect one from a previous day, use it the next day, then spin the wheel to get another one to use it, or you can spend 100 coins to buy more raid tokens.
Yeah. I don't know. It's very interesting. I do like the updates, so I welcome that. It's pretty cool.
I was able to do. I think they're like, and the CP strength and raid targets are like around 10 times the value of the normal version. So I did like 11 or 12,000 CP enemies, and I was able to take them out by myself. And I did try like a 33,000, and I wasn't able to beat them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so like some of the higher powered ones definitely you will not be able to do them. You do have to actually team up with other people, and like they seem to be this system seems to be able to deliver on the promise that you will of that initial trailer, right? Like if all of a sudden there's an egg there and it's like, oh, by the way, there's a raid going on right now, people are taking down Mewtwo. It seems like that's something that potentially could happen.
You are limited to 20 people, and once the first person says I want to fight it, a 2-minute timer starts, so people have 2 minutes to join in.
Yeah, and that's where the problem lies, right? That's
so
where
if you have the 21st person or anyone who shows up late, they can't join in. They just have to wait and see if the first group completes it. And if they do, it's gone. But if they don't complete it, then it'll still be there for another group to try.
Well, is it gone though, or because I've defeated a gym before or a raid, and the timer is still there, like it's still counting down. So like maybe
it goes away.
Anybody gets because it was still there and the timer was still going. It showed that I had completed it, but
then maybe other people could grab it too. But
kind of similar to how a Pokemon right now, like if there's a Pokemon nearby. And you're like, oh man, there's a Blastoise here, and then you try and catch it, and whether you catch it or not doesn't matter. That 15-minute window that the Pokemon is still in your area is still there. Like people, as long as you're in that area within that time limit, you have one chance to do it.
Next time I'm out with my kids and I do that, I'll check. I'll have them check to see if they're still able to see it or not.
Mm-hmm. So, anyways, that's Pokemon Go. I don't think we need to spend. I think we've honestly spent probably too much time on it. But
I like in our YouTube comments, Leo asks, "Are people still playing that?"
Oh yeah,
so, it's still popular. And obviously, Leo, I think when the weather becomes nice, we're on the edge of summer, or just cut into it. I think it's great for people to be outside. And I think with the UI update, when they just did these changes, it's great timing for it.
And I think next week, will be its 1-year anniversary.
Yeah, and they're still making bank on that thing, right? Like,
thing is, I commented to my wife. I was like, I actually missed this. Like, it was fun to go to the mall and play that again, and just kind of get into it. It was really fun. So,
did you install the Pokemon Go app on your Apple Watch there, Zachary?
Of course, yeah, and I use it to hatch eggs and whatnot. I'm a little bit underwhelmed with that, frankly.
Yeah. My daughter did the same, and she wasn't impressed.
It's
not great.
Especially because I already have a Pokemon Go Plus, which is just frankly a better experience, right?
Yeah.
Like, but yeah. Anyway, so that's Pokemon Go. It's so it's something that I'm getting back into, and I'm interested to see. Supposedly, they said that trading was coming this summer too. Like that was something else that's coming this summer. They hinted at that a couple of months ago, so we'll see. Next up, we have Splatoon 2 revealed a league mode. I saw this headline, but I didn't actually click through on it. What do we have additional details, or was it just like?
Yeah, I've got a little bit of details on it. So the mode basically pits groups of players together in a 2-hour-long play session to duke it out, see which group can actually earn the most points. So this is kind of a nice change. So you can actually set yourself up so you can either play the mode that has players can either be in groups of 2 or 4, and then you've got this 2-hour time limit to compete against each other and see how many points you're going to earn. So that's kind of cool. Reading through the notes here as well, because the results of that league battle play will be displayed in a ranking at the end of each 2-hour period, we can give players goals to strive for and hope to achieve to keep them competing and pushing for more. So I kind of like this. I mean, this is a good opportunity to really, kind of really come together for a longer amount of time and compete in longer sessions. I think this is great. I wonder how that mechanic's going to work, just to ensure that you stay in that group of people. Like what happens if someone drops out? Does somebody fill in? But I kind of like this idea of like, hey, Zach, Marty, Jesse, do you guys want to be in this group together? And then we're our own team. Yeah, form our own team, and then
it'd be interesting if you could have, and I don't know if this is how it works, but like if we could literally create a team that persisted across multiple play sessions, almost like a clan or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What would they call that for Splatoon? I feel like that would be like some
like a school of like
yes, a school. Yeah, it's got to be very squid related. I was like, what is it? What is a group of squid together called? Google, could you figure that out for us?
Of squid.
But I think this is really great, and this is really.
Shoal.
Say again.
A shoal. SHOAL. Or a squad. Oh, you know what? They actually had a squad. Which actually, now that they say that, it's like, yeah, you could call it the Squid Squad. Your Squid Squad.
Exactly. That's exactly what's going to happen. But I think this is again positioning them for that esports area, right? I think it puts them. I think that puts them back in that, not back in that category, but closer to that. I think this is very cool. I like the fact that it feels with Splatoon 2, they're making enough significant changes in the core base of the game. I think a salmon run obviously is horde mode that's coming out very soon. That it does feel like a sequel. It doesn't feel like a port, right, of the game. Where I think Mario Kart 8 was a port. Splatoon 2, it is definitely a sequel. You can definitely feel the sequel are behind it now. Yeah, I want to know more about the single player mode. That really helps to justify that. But I do like what they're doing here.
Here's the though, Justin, and this is something that came out during E3 that we haven't really had a chance to talk about yet. It came out during E3 that things like Salmon Run are going to be just like, basically they're doing exactly what they did with Splatoon 1, where you will go in and you hope that Salmon Run is in the rotation. And if it's not in rotation at the time that you log in, you don't get to play Salmon Run.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What other options would there be if they?
Yeah. So like,
could be ranked. Could be, what were some other ones of that?
Rainmaker or Tower Control, right? Like Salmon Run is just another one of those modes, which totally I am not a huge fan of that. I think maybe there will be an option to create your own lobby and then create whatever kind of mode you want to do. But
I think Salmon Run is different enough from everything else that it would be its own separate mode. But
right, but it's not. Well, it's with rotation. Yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it is interesting. They're adding more stuff to it. I see on obviously Nintendo's accounts that their Twitter accounts are pushing more micro videos related to it and promoting it. This game obviously comes out July 21st. I suspect in the next couple of weeks we are going to get a Splatoon-specific Nintendo Direct that's going to be showing off the app, the chat feature, more promotion of the game, and I think to maybe tie that in, actually today, there is information actually just good. I'm going to quote it or source it from our good friends over at Game Explain. Derek Bittner put out a video today that in Nintendo Japan, they actually today or recently announced what their first Nintendo Switch My Nintendo Rewards are, and they're actually digital gear for Splatoon as well. They're specific like sport jackets, stuff like that. So for all of you that are listening to the audio podcast, Zach just spit out his tongue, big thumbs down, does not look happy. But again, we can expect the Nintendo machine to really begin to churn and spin on the Splatoon leading up to Splatoon 2. So again, do expect a direct very soon, I assume.
What I have to say to that is,
please understand.
I'm not a fan of that at all. Like, that's just not. Though, like, I guess when they said that they were going to have Nintendo Switch rewards, I didn't realize that what they meant by that was that they were going to do the exact same thing that they do on mobile, and that we're going to start seeing that kind of thing in Nintendo Switch games. Like, that is exactly what they're doing in Fire Emblem Heroes, or in Miitopia or Miitomo or Super Mario Run, not Miitopia.
You mean you don't like your Hey Pikmin screensaver?
Well, I prefer that over like, I don't know.
I don't mind it when it's DLC gear.
Yeah, I guess, but like, I don't know. It's just a little bit. But it is yet another instance of my Nintendo being something that I'm like, oh yeah, that's a thing.
What
Okay,
what would you have wanted though? What would you expect? Like honestly,
I don't know. Like things
because
that are
there's a gap between what you're expecting and what you're getting, which is causing your frustration. If I can use my master's degree in psychology.
What I'm saying though is that I feel like by saying Nintendo Switch rewards, my feeling on that was that they were going to deliver something on a system level, not putting in like little tiny bits within a single game that I'm going to download and then immediately forget about. Like maybe like I go in and I could buy with my Nintendo coins or whatever additional avatars for my account on my Switch or things like that.
And at this point, they're not saying you can't. All they're saying is at this point, the first thing they've revealed is jackets, and that's on Nintendo of Japan. So we don't really know what's actually going to hit, but that's what we've seen from Japan.
One thing I did find that this isn't Switch related anymore, but still my Nintendo related, is you can, for 40 gold coins, you can buy the Pikmin short animated things. You know, they have the 3D version for the 3DS and the HD version for the Wii U, each for 40 coins each. Yeah. And since I have nothing else to spend gold coins on, I'm like, sure, here, have 80 coins.
Yeah, you know, and that's the funny part, right? So I'm actually going to go to. I was actually on my Nintendo this morning, actually, looking at this. But I mean, I don't know about you guys, but here's what I have for coins, right? And I don't want to be like Scrooge McDucking this right now. Like I don't want to be rolling in like a player.
I do,
because that's what the kids say nowadays. Yeah, you would. You are a boss. You are a player. 3,695 silver coins.
Dude.
And 364 gold coins.
See, I have 1,646 silver coins. I spent a lot of them in Fire Emblem Heroes back for like 2,000 probably, and then 622 gold coins.
Yeah.
So
I have
gold, 622 gold.
Yeah,
you are Scrooge McDucking it.
Yeah, I have 3,700 silver and just shy of 500 gold, and that's after spending 80 of it the other day. And I went through my point history, and there was, I think, 100 or either 90 or 100 gold coins that had expired on me.
Oh wow!
So I did have over 600 at one point.
Yeah, it's one of those things. As I'm going in, I'm like, sure, yeah. I the wallpaper's 50 silver coins. Yeah, I've got almost 3,700. So sure, why not?
I've bought all the wallpaper too.
Yeah, same. And I use it for some backgrounds for some other stuff. But I'm like, sure, why not? I put shh, don't tell Nintendo. I put it in our line chat for everybody for free. Don't tell them that.
I literally just like download all of them onto my computer and then just have my wallpaper be like, where you can tell it to cycle every so many minutes or whatever. Yep. That's just what I do.
I've only bought like 2 Zeldas and really don't touch themes just because, I think I said this before, I don't launch my 3DS to look at the themes. I use it to play the games.
Yeah, no, I agree with that as well. But I'm like, if I got nothing, I may as well spend it, right? I mean,
Yeah. So that is
that's a little bit of a lot of conversation there, wasn't it?
League mode. Okay, so I think we've danced around this this thing. So basically what we've got here, there's this other story that we could probably talk about. The Super Nintendo Classic Edition is a thing, which I didn't think was going to happen because I thought Nintendo was better than this.
Oh, this is going to be a rousing debate. Shots fired. Let's go.
Here's the thing.
The funny part about this is I put in the show notes the information on the Destroy Dart article talking about the rumored Super NES Classic will likely be a thing due to 2 anonymous GameStop managers talking to them as sources. And I'm like 2 days later, yep, this is now a thing.
Yeah, so basically, so here's the thing. and I want to put this out up front, and I know that this is probably not for me, and I am willing to put that out up front. I do not want another piece of hardware at my house. I don't like. I have a Switch. I've got a Blu-ray player. I've got an Apple TV or whatever. Like I don't want to have a million different pieces of hardware plugged into my TV right now. And I love the fact that this SNES Classic Edition exists for people who are, maybe more like, this is definitely, again, I still stand by the fact that the SNES Classic, like the NES Classic, is a marketing push, and it's to attract as many people as possible to the Nintendo brand, and it's not meant to be sold to people who own Switches. But my problem with it is that there is no solution for retro gaming for a Switch owner without buying this right now. And that is my problem with them announcing this, is that they're saying, yeah, all you Switch owners, if you want to play an SNES game, that's awesome. Go buy one of these things. It's like, no, I just bought a $400 Canadian piece of hardware from you. Let me buy this thing. Let me buy this SNES Classic collection for my Switch. I don't want to have to buy more hardware that is going to plug into this thing when I want to play it on my Switch. And it's stupid that is still an ongoing issue. I know they're going to announce it. All I have to say about it is they better have that solution in place when that SNES Classic launches, because otherwise I'm going to be pretty salty about it, because I don't want to have to go out and stand in line to buy $100 piece of hardware, which is what it is up here, to play Star Fox 2. Like, put the Star Fox 2 ROM on the Switch, and that's much better. I have no desire to go and buy another piece of hardware. It's silly at this point. So I don't know. What do you think? Like, I know that it's not from it just seems silly that they would make somebody who has just gone out and bought a Switch go out and buy another $100 piece of hardware. I already bought another, like, an extra pair of Joy-Cons. So I have 2 pairs of Joy-Cons in my house. So, like, the argument of, like, oh yeah, but there's 2 SNES controllers in this thing. It's like, yeah, but I got 4 Joy-Cons already that are literally all the same buttons as an SNES controller. So that doesn't help me, right? Like, just put the dang Super Nintendo games on the Switch. Like, I don't know. Anyways, what do you think, Justin?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this was a shock that they were going to do it. I think after the great success of the NES Classic, I think rolling out the Super NES Classic makes logical sense from a business perspective, right? You definitely have a market. They saw the miss, and I think they're building this Classics brand, which I think is important for them. I think it goes back to the idea of what are some additional pillars that the organization or the company can stand on. I think this is one of them. So there's a couple things. When I saw it, so it's so funny. I'm being in Ireland. I'm 7 hours ahead of the rest of you, right? So this hit at, like, I think it was like 2:00 my time when everyone else is basically sleeping. So I'm like, does nobody else see this? Like, I'm putting out information about it, like, no one's responding in the line chat. I'm like, what is wrong with you people? And I'm like, it's like 6 a.m. I'll sleep in the morning. My bad. But I was like, why is no one else excited about this? But I do think it's very interesting. 21 games, I think that's not bad. Mm-hmm. Like, if you look at the list of games, like, let's sit in that pocket right now. Those are all games that really should be on the, like, these are classic instant hit SNES games. Like, there's no doubt about that. And we'll jump into the Justin Asks commentary here in a little bit. So, but I mean, let's just take a quick glance at this list here.
Before we do that, going back a few weeks when we just talked about our list of about 29 games that was voted on by Twitter, YouTube comments, emails, whatever. That of those, let's say 29 games, 19 of them were out of the 21.
What were the 2 that were not?
Star Fox 2, because no one saw that coming.
Right.
And Kirby's Dream Course.
What is that even? I don't know if I've ever played that.
I don't know. Neither have I.
Okay.
But other than that, the other 19 games were games voted on by everybody that they would have liked to see. So I think we did a pretty good job of nailing it.
Yeah. Just at a quick glance here: Donkey Kong Country, Earthbound, Mega Man X, Legend of Zelda, Star Fox 2,
Final Fantasy
Super
6.
Ghouls and Ghosts, Final Fantasy 6, Mario Kart, Super Mario World, Super Punch Out, Super Metroid. I mean, these are all absolute classics, right? When these games came out on the 3DS eShop, I already bought them. Right? I was like, yep, I want those. And even for the Wii U, and that's a little bit of the argument I have here too. Like a lot of these games I've already purchased for either my Wii U or my 3DS.
Yeah,
and that's a bit frustrating, right? And to your point, do I want to have another hardware thing? So when I saw it come out, I was like, I'm very excited. I probably won't pick it up.
I kind of looked at it and thought like, and I know I heard from several people over the course of like that first 24 hours that it was released, that it was like there was this sort of cycle of like initial excitement when it was announced, and then as people started to process this and what it meant, it was just like, oh, right, okay, well, it's probably, and they're saying that they're gonna be manufacturing significantly more of them, which I get, like, I'll believe it when I see it,
Well, that is a very low bar.
Yeah, exactly.
What do
right?
they make?
Like,
250,000?
No, yeah, like I think in total they maybe I would be surprised if they made 2 million total of that NES Classic. They did not make a lot of those, and so like, and not only that, but they are also they said afterwards, oh, we should have made it more clear that this thing was going to be limited production run, and then yet when they announced this, they did not say it's going to be limited production run. So like they haven't been very clear about, but they did say there's going to be significantly more of them than the NES Classic. So does that mean
in the same interview that announced that, they also said that they will likely stop production at the end of the calendar year.
So like, okay, so it's going to be around for 1 quarter, just like everything else. And I hate to tell you, the scalpers are going to pick these things up because even if they do buy a bunch of them, or if they do pick a bunch of them, the scalpers are still going to pick it up. So,
and there was a couple other things that happened. So the European and Japan got Super Famicom SKUs, which are quite nice as well. And Europe had pre-orders that went up as well. So I was fortunate over here in Ireland to actually secure a pre-order for it as well. So yeah, that went pretty great. But I do agree with you, Zach. Like, there's this kind of like, oh man, it's super exciting. But then when you think of the experience for the classic, right? There's some people who don't still have it and they really, really want it, right? Standing in line, scalpers paying high prices, short cords. To your point, like yours is literally now sitting in your drawer.
It's literally sitting, like I just pulled it out of my drawer because I didn't have anywhere to plug it in. It's literally, look, everybody who never got one because you couldn't find it, look, it's literally sitting in a drawer. Like, I don't know, whatever.
So is it for the people who just spent $400 on a Switch? I don't know. You already may be a diehard Nintendo fan. You may already have these. It's tough to say. But what it does allow people to do, it allows Nintendo to very easily make some quick revenue. If they could have a good, substantial supply chain of these before Christmas, like, I've heard it, and I'm not going to be able to say, like, this is a brilliant idea. Pear on IGN has said, like, basically on Nintendo Voice Chat, you have these at every kind of supermarket, grocery store, basically just before you walk down your cashier aisle, and you can throw one in your bag for like a Christmas gift, right, or whatever it is, a very light, affordable kind of a gift. If you do that, then you've got an easy win on your hands, right? This can be the Christmas, the big Christmas gift of 2017 and hit all the lists and whatever. But I think when you consider, again, last time, short supply chains, short cords, difficulty to get, you combine that and it feels like now you're just being a bit cheeky about it, right? Like, like what are you going to do? And I do agree with you, Zach. I think the problem the more that I'm thinking about, one of the challenges I have with it is you are right. What about your installation base of over were we now at 4 million, almost 4 million Switches sold?
Yeah.
And everybody is saying, why can I not play stuff on this? Why can I not play Star Fox? Why can I not play Super Metroid?
SNES, yeah, why is the SNES Classic Collection not a Switch cartridge that's coming out the same day, or even if it was coming out later, or is there going to be like a classics area of the the operating system?
Yeah, and I think like that needs to be solved, right? You need and is
before that comes, because now I'm starting to think, you know what, we're not going to find out about Virtual Console until, at least for Super Nintendo stuff, until after this thing has run its course.
Yeah.
That's obviously how I feel, because otherwise it's going to bite into the sales of the SNES Classic, which means we're not hearing about Virtual Console until 2018.
Yeah.
Like that's like, I don't know if that's what's happening, but that's what it makes me think, because otherwise why would they cannibalize their own SNES Classic sort of appeal?
And if you're that easy to drop all that onto a ROM, right? Surely you can drop that onto a cartridge, or you can drop it onto a file that you can download, right? So like, and I've said this before, I think it's for the pre-E show. I would love to say that there is a NES Classic, to your point, cartridge I can go and purchase, or I can download it off the eShop, and it's like $80 and I get all of those, or $60 and I get all those games that were there. Same with the SNES Classic, right? And so that is definitely frustrating. If you're a person out there who's getting this, let us know. I mean, like I said, I'm getting it for the show. I think it'd be pretty cool. Now, I did ask about people about what games they would want to see that were not included. So I'm going to take a moment and grab that list. Well, Zach, maybe view Vamp for a couple of moments.
Yeah. So I mean, and here's the thing too, is like, I don't know. Like, I understand that it's not necessarily for us, right? I was saying on Twitter this week too that what I wish they would do is have something like this where, I mean, third parties are already going crazy with this stuff, with the third party control, like the 8-bit DOE Super Nintendo controller, right? It's like a wireless controller you plug into your Switch, or that connects to your Switch. That is something that Nintendo could very easily make, right? Or that would be a really obvious sort of product here. But I really just don't understand the mentality of not having these games around yet, or at least not saying anything. Like they have now broached the topic of retro games and Virtual Console, specifically Super Nintendo stuff. They have now broached that topic, and they seem to be, like previously over E3 with Metroid, right? Like they seem to be aware of, like, oh, okay, well, if we announce this, then people are going to be upset about this other thing. We should also address that at the same time. And this seems to be one misstep where they're like, okay. And maybe, honestly, the reality is that I seem to be one of the only people online that I've seen, at least, that is not super excited about this thing. Sure. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just a grouchy old man. That's another possibility. Like,
it's tough to say. Like, I do, I think it's cool. I think there are some, questions that we haven't. But I think we look at it from a different view, right? We look at it as the hardcore Nintendo fans who have purchased a ton of stuff, who are very on the industry. Now, if you're an outsider looking into this, you're like, oh wow, that's pretty cool. Or someone who's trying to maybe get back into Nintendo, right? So think about this. This could be a great entry point for someone to get back into Nintendo, and to be exposed to Switch and those games possibly. So it's a good kind of gateway possibly. I do think I understand your frustration, Zach, but I don't know if it's if everyone definitely feels to the same degree as you. But I do think there is some.
They also do seem to be positioning it a little bit compared to the NES, but compared to the NES Classic, they seem to be positioning it a little bit more as a little bit more premium of a device than the NES Classic was, right? Mm-hmm. It's $20 US more expensive. It has that second controller. In Canada, it's going to be $100, right? Mm-hmm. Which almost pushes it out of that impulse buy range. Like, yeah, I think it does. Like $60 US, very much like that. Oh, well, that's the same price as a game. Sweet, right? Mm-hmm. But $80 is like, oh,
yeah. And okay. over here in the UK, it's 85 pounds as well. So, or 85 euro. Sorry. So
Yeah.
That translates roughly to about 135 Canadian as an FYI to that. But
which is yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy. But before we dive into the games that are on this list, I mean, we talked about the games, but like what games people want to be in here. Zach, what do you think about Star Fox 2 coming? Like that's pretty cool. Like that was a big announcement, right? Star Fox 2 unreleased. Is that? I mean, is that worth the price of admission right there?
No, it's not. It's not, but it's cool. It's a cool added bonus, I would say. And this is somebody who loves Star Fox, right? Like I really, Star Fox is one of my favorite Nintendo franchises.
Yeah, I saw this and I was instantly thinking of you. I'm like, Zach has got to be just like.
I'm excited about being able to play that, but it does not sway me one way or the other. It's like, well, if I end up getting it, then I'll get it and I'll play it and it'll be fun. But also, maybe there's a reason it didn't come over. It might not be as great as everyone thought it was. Like all of those things, and I've heard that kind of stuff. But it's cool. Like it's cool that it's going to be out, and we'll actually be able to get our hands on it. But I'm still questioning whether or not we'll even be able to get our hands on it because of what happened last time. And like it is not worth $100 to get to play Star Fox 2, especially when they could put it on the eShop as virtual console. Like it being out on the SNES Classic, does that eliminate any possibility of it showing up on the eShop in virtual console? I hope not, because that would really suck, and it would be a slap in the face to all of your like hardcore consumers, right? Like the people who actually did pick up a Switch. But I don't know. It's I'm seeing it in the chat here. It says Zach's sounding a little salty with the SNES Classic. Yeah, I definitely would be, and I think that I'm. This is somebody who bought the NES Classic on day one too, and it's cool to have, but it's not that cool, right? Like it's cool, but not that cool. My experience was that it lost its it lost its appeal. Not appeal, like it's not like I hate mine, but how often do you go and play old NES Virtual Console games?
Here's a funny thing I would say about that, and maybe it's a little bit of the exclusivity of being able to have it. I remember last time you actually commented on like, hey, I don't really love my NES Classic. We actually had someone reach out to us and like, hey Zach, if you don't love it so much, would you be willing to sell it to me? So
the thing is that I still don't think I've considered selling it, but I'm like, you know what? No, because it's cool. It's like I like having it in a drawer. Because I could plug it in if I wanted to, but I don't want to. But it's cool to look at. You know what I mean? Like,
but I don't want to.
But I don't want to. But I like it because you don't have one. Like that's almost how I feel about it.
Sure.
I like it because it's actually fun to play.
Like when you look at it, does it frustrate you or anger you because you know what could be?
No. I just it's just like it's like a collector's item. Right, like it's cool. Like it's like a novelty sort of thing at this point. It looks cool. It looks cool when I like put my little Mario amiibo, 8-bit Mario amiibo on top of it and put it on my shelf. Like you know what I mean? Like that is how it's a cool thing to display. But that's about as much as enjoyment as I get out of it. And I do go back and play like the retro games every once in a while, right? But it is not the ideal playing experience by a long shot, right? Like to sit down in front of my TV with a ridiculously long HDMI cord so that I can like have this thing there. I guess I could have gotten an extension cord, but either way, it's it's fine. I don't know. They did say, and I think this is important to say, is that they did clarify that the cords on the SNES controllers for this Classic will be longer than the one for the NES Classic were. That is feedback that they have heard and that they are going to be taking into consideration, is that those cords will be longer. So
5 feet, if I recall.
Yeah, which right now these ones are like,
I think they're 2.5.
They suck. Yeah.
Right, and you get both controllers instead of having to. So that was a good thing.
Yeah, you get two, which is great.
Yeah, which I think is which I actually think is probably one of the reasons why it costs more. right? Because if you had purchased the NES and then you had to go buy the $15 or $10 controller, you were nearly, at what this cost is.
Yeah,
and you're getting an extra 4 feet of controller cord.
On the NES Classic, I don't even use the one that came with. I have an extension connected to Classic Controller Pro, and then mainly because I like having the home button in there, so I don't have to lean over and to push reset.
And you're going to be doing that on the new one too.
I know. So I'm probably still going to use the Classic Controller Pro.
Right. And the thing is that I end up thinking about too is that having said all of this and my whole big rant, am I going to get one? Is the question.
Absolutely, you are.
And the answer is probably. I will probably still get if the opportunity arises, like if I can get one fairly easily without having to pay a ridiculous amount or having to stand out in the cold or whatever crap, like yes, I will probably still get one because I'm a collector of all things Nintendo stuff, and I have a huge bin full of amiibos, and like that's just what I do. But
as someone once said on Online Watch the Video today, Nintendo's got you by the childhoods.
Yes, they do.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I was a Genesis kid.
And that's what's wrong with you. We've talked about that before.
Which, by the way, in what we've been playing, I'm going to have to talk about some Sega Forever.
Okay. I want to talk about a couple other things here. Obviously, this whole we are now the second classics. It feels like Nintendo may be going hard in this classics line. I asked on the online. I asked online. On the line.
Yeah, where you do.
Yeah, on the line. What people believe is going to be the next classic edition.
Because if you ask on the offlines, you don't get very far.
No one responds to me. The options being Game Boy, N64, Virtual Boy, and Game Boy Advanced. And 62% of people believe that the N64 is the next classic line that will be coming out, and that will be coming out next year. So, Zach's rolling his eyes for those of you that can't see it as well. So, yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like it probably is going to be.
Do it. No. Don't.
Sorry?
We don't even have the SNES yet.
But here's the thing: I wonder, you can't make that controller smaller. Like those are massive controllers.
Yeah.
Right?
That was my first thought too. Is like that controller was a beast. I have 4 of them over in the other room because I still have a 64, and I have lots of games for it too. And we break it out every once in a while and play like Dr. Mario 64 and stuff like that.
Yep.
That is getting to the point where the reason that I question that one, and it's I know that I question the existence of an SNES classic, but the reason I question a 64 classic is because of the pricing and the sort of value of a Nintendo 64 game. I feel like there's a lot more there as far as the perceived value. Like I can see them maybe doing that, but it would only like the NES had 30 games on it, didn't it?
Yep.
And the SNES only has 21. And then the 64, I bet you'd have like 15.
The problem the 64 would have is all the games that the people are going to want on it are going to have licensing issues. Rare
GoldenEye.
Rare, yeah.
Yeah.
GoldenEye not only is a rare game owned by Microsoft, but it's also the Bond license, which that's probably never going to happen again.
Yeah.
And amongst other things.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot. Well, yeah, and there's a ton of issues with that. I definitely think that hopefully by then they've just figured out their virtual console stuff. And I think that we get to the point where we may end up just seeing something that is a classics hub or something where it's just capable of playing classics game. It's like you can download from the eShop. You can download whatever NES Classic or NES, Super Nintendo, whatever. It's like a virtual console machine. I think that would make more sense moving forward.
So this news broke. I put out a Justin Asks on YouTube and basically said, what games do you feel is missing and would you like to have included in this? So I'm going to go through a couple of comments that came through.
Sure.
Leo Wright says, Turtles in Time and NBA Jam. Right? Those are great games. Turtles in Time, for sure. Super Mario, who is also currently in our group chat right now for YouTube, says NBA Jam and Turtles in Time for sure. Chrono Trigger.
Oh, that is a
Chrono
good
Trigger, yeah. NBA Jam is mentioned again, or Ken Griffey Jr. Baseball. What else we got here? Skinny Matt says SimCity, Final Fantasy 2 and 4, Chrono Trigger, no Tekken Super Bowl, or even Ken Griffey Jr. Baseball. So those seem popular.
There's a game that would have licensing issues.
Yep. Yeah. Martin asks for Saturday Night Slam fights or Final Fight. Also Pilot Wings, Super Soccer, and Super Tennis. AJ asks, where is Pilot Wings? For sure.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. Killer Instinct. Yeah. I know Killer Instinct is a rare thing, but Killer Instinct is one that I'm surprised isn't on there too.
Yeah. Lucas Lore mentions Maximum Carnage, Separation Anxiety, Death and Return of Superman, and Super Star Wars. So that's cool. Daniel mentions Chrono Trigger again, Harvest Moon, and some Disney games, including Aladdin and Lion King. Those are classics, actually. Andrew calls out Turtles in Time and Chrono Trigger. Eric, Final Fight, Ninja Turtles, NBA Jam, Killer Instinct, Aladdin, Super Mario All-Stars. And then we got here Soul Blazer Trilogy from Reedy J, and Indiana Trekker 26 says ActRaiser and Super R-Type or Gradius 3. So a lot of, definitely as you're going through that, you're like, oh yeah, that is a great game. Oh yeah, right? So there's a lot of recall of some of those great games playing as a kid. But I mean, I think one of the ones we're definitely hearing on there is NBA Jam being a huge one. Now, you're right, Jesse, a lot of these are basically tied up in rights and copyright stuff but Chrono Trigger definitely, like that one feels like it should have been there. That would have been a great game.
Yeah, Chrono Trigger is, but going back to the list we came up with a few weeks ago, Chrono Trigger is the highest ranked game that didn't make it.
Yeah.
However, I think getting the Square game Final Fantasy 3/6 on there, that is really awesome, and I feel like that is the best game in the entire series. I'm just going to put that on there. I don't know if you.
Oh, I
agree with me.
I've said it before that Final Fantasy VI is my favorite Final Fantasy, and
it's one of the best.
It's definitely one of my best games of all time.
Yeah, I would say that there are two RPGs that have rivaled that. One of them is the Pokemon series. I would say maybe like Gold and Silver, Crystal, that area, and then Mother 3. So those are like my favorite RPGs that I've played. So yeah. So that's the SNES Classic. Anybody else kind of feeling about this? I know I came off really salty about this. I just don't. It's just not for me, and it just seems so. This is going to sound really like elitist almost, but it seems like almost like it feels like a pedestrian cash grab, nostalgia grab. Like that's what it's not a very exciting, sophisticated sort of thing there. It's literally like, instead of selling you a cartridge, we're going to sell you something that can only play this one thing. And if I'm going to buy hardware, I want, like, you buy hardware so that you can continue to buy games for it. And if you're not going to do that, like, there's a software and there's hardware. And this seems like this weird thing that you can only, that is so limited. It's such a limited experience that is just like, ugh.
Yeah, but Zach, you got to remember, it is playing and pulling on that nostalgia like nobody's business, right? Which is exactly what Nintendo wants to do. Because Nintendo ultimately, in the end, is a business. They need to make money to do things. So that's what all of these have been, right? They've been pulling the nostalgia, and they will continue to be pulls on the nostalgia. So we just have to kind of be okay with that. Again, this may not be for you. Now, here's what I would encourage all of our listeners to do. If you think Zach is wrong and you are screaming at your podcast right now, you're about to throw your phone, you're like, this man is ridiculous, I want you to send us an email and tell me why Zach is wrong. Do it. Send us a voice clip.
Is wrong. Yeah.
Hashtag Zach is wrong. Get that trending on Twitter. And I want to find out why. what you think is going on here. Be the argument. Now, Marty's not here. I would be interested to hear what his thoughts are on this as well. But guys, let's hear it. Let's have a healthy conversation. Healthy conversation.
Yeah. I like it. As far as last bit of news here, do we have anything? I do want to. We've been going like ridiculously long on the show lately, and I would like to keep it under like two hours. I don't know. Keep it like an hour and a half or something. I don't know. But any other of this news that we really quickly could cover here? Are we looking at?
I don't think there's
museum announcement in summer.
Well,
see, Namco Museum. Okay, so this Namco Museum. This is what I want them to do, right? All of this is going to be in the same thing. Like, is this one package?
Yeah, that's one package. They had, and this was a known list with the exception of one game, and that's the news item. Is they added a new game. But before they said it was going to be Dig Dug Galaga, Galaga 88, Pac-Man, Rolling Thunder 1 and 2, Sky Kid, Splatterhouse, Tank Force, and the Tower of Duraga. And what the news for this week is they are adding Pac-Man Versus that was released on the GameCube.
Mm-hmm.
And where in the original game, it was meant to be played by 4 players. 3 players are looking at the screen, and they only have a small portion of the grid. They are 3 ghosts trying to catch Pac-Man. And Pac-Man is then on a Game Boy Advance, who has access to the entire grid to try to avoid the ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure how they're going to pull this off multiplayer with a Switch. Like, if it can't be split screen because the ghost can't see where Pac-Man is. So it's got to be multi-Switch support. Maybe it's meant to be for 2 Switches where it is split screen for the ghosts, but Pac-Man has his own display. I don't know yet, but that's kind of the thing I'm most interested in finding out more about.
Yeah. Very cool. Okay. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. Like, I don't know. I like this sort of bundled package. Watching the trailer, I'm not a huge fan of how they are all displaying the vertical version of this game, and there's so much margin on both sides that it's just like, oh, okay, well, that's. I mean, I don't know how else you do it, frankly.
Well, I think they did announce that this game can be played. You know, if you can mount your Switch vertically, like on a stand. It can it can be played in that form, which will be more natural.
Yeah.
Because if you
like an old arcade cabinet.
Yeah, trying to plug it into a TV, you're going to have a lot of black space at the sides.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So finally, we have this ukulele update released for PC, Mac, and Linux, coming soon to consoles, and will be part of Nintendo Switch's Day 1 release whenever that happens. So there's just like cutscene changes, UI changes, all that jazz, right? Like not a whole bunch of business.
The actual change list was huge. I just try to pick a few things that might be the most interesting.
Mm-hmm. So there was a UI update to always show health information when it's low, mode that frees up the camera to give the player more options in camera angles, cutscene dialogue easier to skip or can have the gibberish reduced. I'm guessing that's like the voice.
Yeah,
stuff. It sounds like basically they're actually taking the time to hear the feedback.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Very awesome. All right, you know what? Let's head into what we've been playing, shall we? And do some of that business. All right. That was really loud. Wow. Sorry. Hey, guy who complained about my sound mix. I'm sorry. You were right that time.
Please understand.
So, basically, Justin, what have you been playing this week? I'm going to let you go first.
Oh, sure. I haven't really been playing a lot of anything that's different from last week. I've been playing more ARMS. Still loving that game. Still really, my favorite mode to play it is handheld like this. Just like it's my favorite way to do it. It's funny. I didn't purchase a Pro controller.
Mm-hmm.
I have not yet. I have played this with the Joy-Con grip together on the telly, and it makes me feel like I want my Pro controller. Feel like I'm smashing my buttons. Like everything feels a little bit too too like tight, right? Whereas when I play with,
you see that there's a grip that somebody has released that is basically almost the exact size of a Switch. So it's like a really wide one. So you basically, it still feels like a full size Switch when you're playing it, and then like I think it might even have a battery pack in it or something, so that you're playing it, and it doesn't feel any different than handheld mode.
That's interesting.
I saw that and it was just like, oh wow, that is such a weird niche product, but also something that would be really awesome.
Yeah. So and whenever I played Breath of the Wild, I never kind of felt like that it was really kind of that way, because it still felt good. But I feel with the button smashiness of ARMS, sometimes it feels like I'm kind of flailing.
Right, like the triggers, like to use those, it does feel a little cramped.
So I'm going to probably be picking up a Pro Controller here in the next couple of weeks. But continue to play ARMS. I really enjoy the game. I love the fact it's so accessible, so easy to pick up. I love sitting in the lobby and just kind of, how quickly those games can go, right? You kind of sit there for a couple moments, your match, boom, 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 you're done, and you kind of dissipate. I think that's a great, and the variety of games that are coming through with it as well, like the different types. Oh, it's volleyball now. Oh, now it's, versus headlock. It just keeps it feeling very, very fresh, which I enjoy. I have like my main that I go to, which is Kid Cobra. I feel like he's my primary, and I've got my favorite weapons already. But yeah, feeling really good about it. The girls love it as well. Like they love just picking up and being like, oh, can we play that game? And they're really, it's so easy for them to grab. A couple days ago, we were getting ready for bed, and Morgan, my youngest, like, oh, can I play Switch before, or can I play ARMS before? And I was like, sure. And she's like, can I play this way? Right. So she's doing the motion, the fighting, right? She wants to play motion control. I was like, sure. And I feel bad for whoever she fought, because I'm sure this 25 or 30-year-old guy is playing somewhere and is like, why is this person doing it? Because she just flails. Like, it is just throwing everything at it. And there's no coordination. Like, there's no strategy. It's just like arm shaking craziness at every single moment. Super adorable to watch and fun, and wears her out before she goes to bed, which is parenting pro tip. But yeah, it's been a really great game. I think this is another example of just Nintendo finding a really, and it's funny because I'm not a huge fighting game fan. I know we picked up Smash Brothers before, and I always feel like I'm not good at it. I always feel like I'm getting destroyed. There is an approachability to ARMS that I think some other fighting games lack, and I think it's that Nintendo-esque touch, right? The controls are simple, children can pick it up and play it, but there's also that one more round addictiveness to it, very much like Splatoon has it, very much like Mario Kart has it, and you can see how much you can see how much of this Venn diagram kind of overlaps of, feels like there's some Splatoon elements influencing it, some Mario Kart, and to kind of just come up with this lovely, enjoyable game. When I first saw the trailer back in January for it, I was like, what? Like, this looks really weird. What are they doing with it? But you can very much feel just every character has distinct personality, the time it takes to just at a surface level, doesn't feel like there's a lot. And I would argue that, the Grand Prix, there isn't a whole lot, right? You do it once and you've kind of completed it. But it's the multiplayer, it's the party modes, it's the rank mode, it's everything else underneath it that really grabs you, right? Kind of like Splatoon. Splatoon's single player mode was kind of just, it was there, right? But it was the playing online, it was playing with your friends that really, really grabs you and makes it a fun experience. So I've been really excited and happy with playing ARMS. I think it's been brilliant, and I think it's a great family game. I think it's easy for kids to approach. I think it's easy to kind of just put the Switch down and be like, let's play a game together, or team up together, or go against each other. There's so many options there, and I'm excited to see what else they do. I know this week they added the spectator mode, right, to it. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to try that yet.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance either. I know they added it. I didn't have a chance to jump in, but I'm like, I just love the fact they're tooling more into it, right? Later in July, we're going to get Max Brass added to it as well. So I just feel like it's going to be just a game that they kind of keep bringing you back to it, right? They kind of keep bringing you back to playing it, and it'll be interesting to see if it actually makes itself into the esports realm. Obviously Nintendo had their invitational E3 for it, but it'll be interesting to see if it lands the same way. I think Splatoon, I think Smash have landed or have landed in that and feels very natural. It'll be interesting to see how ARMS fits, but I think it's fantastic. Another great first-party game from Nintendo very early on in the Switch's life cycle, and I'm interested to see how they're going to support it going forward. So that's kind of what I've been playing.
Yeah, I've been playing. I actually haven't been playing a whole lot of anything, frankly, but I did play more ARMS. I posted this on Twitter, but I came home from work yesterday, and my 6-year-old son, he's turning 7 in the fall, but I walk into the house and he's like, "Dad, I unlocked rank mode today." And I was like, "You're 6 years old. What?" like
a boss.
Which, for those of you who don't have this game, you have to defeat the game with, like, including like this sort of like secret end boss with headlock on top of max brass, right? On rank 4, which is really actually pretty hard.
Yeah. The first time I went through, I didn't realize there was a ranking, like there was different like levels of difficulty. So jumped on, grabbed I think Sprayman, and I was like, oh, let's try this Grand Prix, and I was like, I didn't lose any matches, and I was like, oh wow, that was really super easy. And then I was like, maybe I'm gonna try another character, and then I was like, oh, I did like rank 1. I was like, oh, and then I saw like, oh, you need to unlock ranked mode, you need to defeat it in level 4. I was like, all right, let's go do level 4. I got destroyed. Like my first round, I don't even think I hit the guy. I was like, oh, I'm in trouble. So
every time I'm playing it now, like I'll sit down on the couch in handheld mode and I'm playing a little bit, and he's like, "Dad, why don't you block? Dad, what are you doing?" And I'm just like, shut up, boy, I'm trying to play this game. And I got from
micromanaging me.
I got home from work today. He's like, "Hey, Dad, I'm rank 3 in ranked mode now." I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm rank 4, so take that, boy." Like,
I kind of half expected you to walk in. He's got a Joy-Con. He's like, "Dad, I'm rank 4. Drop the mic. I'm out."
I actually just posted on Twitter his time log for. It just shows the play activity. I just posted a screenshot from my Switch. It just has his Breath of the Wild activity and his ARMS activity, and I'm like, ooh, parenting choices here. A lot of this, just for context, a lot of this is like Saturday and Sunday mornings where it's like we're sleeping in and he gets up at like the butt crack of dawn and is like, "If I sit quietly down here and don't wake up anyone, I can play for like 4 hours and no one even knows," right? That's basically how this works. But so he has it says mine, it said it has like played for 5 hours or more or whatever. His says 20 for ARMS. So I'm like,
wow.
Oh, all right, well, no wonder he's better than I am at this game. So anyways, I thought that was really funny. He loves this game. Like, this is totally, like a 6-7-year-old kid. Like, this is right up his alley. He loves it. And he plays most of it in handheld too. And really, that's mostly how I play it as well. So
which I wonder if that's the way Nintendo wants us to be playing it, right? Like, I mean, obviously it's an option, but they so promoted the motion of the Joy-Cons so much, right? And even when you log in when you start it in the first thing, when the first screen shows you the detached Joy-Cons with the grips, obviously make sure it's safety and laced up and everything, but they show you that scheme, right? So I wonder if Nintendo, I think really wants you to be playing it that way, but I think most people are playing it in handheld mode. But I don't know.
We ended up renting that game last weekend for like.
Who do you rent from? Where do you rent a game?
There's a family video that.
Shut up!
They have 3 Switch games, and ARMS was one of them. So we rented it for 2 nights, and literally, my daughter and I tried playing it. We did the little tutorial in 2-player mode, so we each got a chance to practice a little bit. And then we played a 2-player match, and she was doing a hell of a lot better than I was. I didn't beat her at all. I tried to do all the strategic stuff, and nothing was working. And even though she beat me like 3 or 4 times, even she's like, I don't think this game's for me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do you
You
think
know
how I feel who lost every game to
Yeah.
someone who doesn't think that game is for you?
And that's one of the things I do like about being able to jump online with two players playing together, right? So when you go on to like four people playing, you're tethered to each other. That's really, I like that experience. Like that's a lot of fun. Or hey, you're doing the volleyball together. I really like that experience where you're able to be in that room with that person. I think they do a good integration of like there are two people locally, you and someone else that you're playing online with, and then all of a sudden two random people can join in, and it's a good experience.
Yeah. The other game that I have been playing was I think I talked about it a little bit last week. The portable, what is it, Runbow Pocket. We got a review copy from 13 AM Games. I have been playing a little bit more of that, and that game is the one thing I will say about it, and I was a little bit critical of it last week. It is not the prettiest game. Like it looks like a compressed, like if you took an HD image and you compressed it to that size, without trying to make any sort of, do any real effort to make it super visually impressive on a handheld. Having said that, I do feel like the Runbow, just the nature of that game, like the single player, playing that game single player on your TV sometimes was not all that exciting. It kind of felt like, oh, well, look at all this empty space and this feels weird. The single player campaign mode is much more conducive to a handheld, which I actually have been finding myself more, a little more often like, oh, I'm sitting here, doing whatever. I'm on my break at work or whatever. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to sit down. I'm going to play a few levels here. And it's very much like a pick up and play, really fun sort of experience that way. And so I do like it. The thing is that it is a new 3DS game only. So like I can't play it with my son locally or anything like that because it's new 3DS only. So that's kind of a bummer, but it is, I don't know, it's fun. It is if you love Runbow, and it is, it's a digital download. I think it's $15-16, something like that on the eShop for the 3DS. So if you do enjoy that game, or if you enjoy that kind of game, that sort of platformer, it is really fun, and it can be really challenging. And it's more of a challenging platformer than it is sort of adventure. Platformer. So that's
very, very much so, right? So, and that was typical of it on the Wii U as well. Do you think, and big shout out and big thanks to the guys over at 13 AM Games for sending that along to us and getting early access. So we appreciate that. They're really great for the Wii U version as well. This feels like a game that, and I'll ask you this question, Zach. You're talking about that social sharing, right? That ability to be online. Do you think this, where it's coming out in the cycle of the 3DS, the Switch is kind of on the up. The 3DS is a little bit kind of not as much. People aren't playing it as much. Do you think this game should have came out on the Switch instead of 3DS?
I wouldn't necessarily say instead. I think that they were planning on this game coming out quite a while ago.
Yeah, it was like September of last year.
Yeah, and I think it probably would have done a little bit better back then. Although there's a lot of life getting reinjected into the 3DS lately. I don't know. I still wouldn't be surprised if they end up porting this to the Switch eventually. Like that's probably in the works, I would say. I don't think it's necessarily an either or, but if I had to choose, I would choose the Switch because it has a 720p screen on it, so it's not going to look like you're like you're looking at sandpaper or whatever. And like it makes total sense with the break off the Joy-Con thing, right? With sharing the joy. So, which is still the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah, and Zach, you're also playing on the new 3D, the small one, right? So maybe it was on the 3DS XL that may change a little bit of it.
Kind of, but the resolution of the screen is still the same, so actually it may look worse on the XL, frankly. Like sometimes playing on the smaller screen, it looks like a better image because it's a smaller pixel or a larger pixel density, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that could be the case. By the way, I'm looking online. Roger just uploaded a video called Star Fox, Pikmin, and Yoshi Anime in the works. Miyamoto confirmed at Nintendo shareholders meeting. So there you go, hot off the press.
There was a shareholder.
One anime or 3 separate animes.
There was a shareholders meeting today. Maybe Jesse, can you find that link? Maybe we can throw that in. We don't want to chat about it live, but
if there is a Star Fox anime coming, they
did a great job with that Star Fox anime they did to release. I mean,
so
I'm going to argue that was better than Star Fox Zero. What?
I don't think I haven't seen a link yet that has everything all in one page yet.
Okay.
Probably won't happen until tomorrow or the day after to give some people time to translate it and kind of be verified translations. Because we've had problems with, there's been miscommunications involving the translations in the past. So
sure.
I think people are getting more careful with that.
Yeah.
So that might be something we talk about next week.
Yep. So we'll get more.
You're fair. You're fair on that one.
Yeah. The other final thing I will talk about as far as what I've been playing is last week we talked about Sega Forever, which is their virtual console, Sega's virtual console that they are doing on mobile, and it sounded at the time like what they were doing was releasing these games that probably the case, and for some of them I think it might not be the case. I don't even really necessarily know anymore because I downloaded the song. I downloaded all of them. They're free to download, and I played at least a few minutes of 4 out of the 5. So there's Sonic 1, Phantasy Star 2, Comic Zone, Kid Chameleon, and Altered Beast. I haven't played any Altered Beast yet, but I did play. I actually paid for Phantasy Star 2 so that it was not ad supported, because I have a lot of history. That was probably my first big RPG that I played when I was a kid, which is pretty hardcore. But what surprised me about these was how egregious the ad supporting is. Imagine playing Sonic the Hedgehog or Mario, but every time you beat a level, there's an ad. And it's literally like those Mobile Strike ads where it looks like it looks like a tutorial, but they're just trying to trick you into tapping on the screen, and you have to wait until the little X shows up so you can close the video. Like, it's those ads, which is super tacky and not very nice to look at, and so that was surprising to me. But also, these aren't necessarily these aren't necessarily just like emulated games, because Phantasy Star 2, I think, actually is a little bit more of like an accurate emulation. But Sonic 1, I'm pretty sure, I think the guy's name is Chris Whitehead, the guy who's done like all of the ports and stuff like that. It's basically just a sort of skinned version of that, where it's the full widescreen version of Sonic 1. So it's not actually the Sonic 1, like the Genesis ROM that you're playing. That, like, they're doing a nostalgia play here, but it's not a truly what's the word? Like a true representation of what the Genesis game was. It's different. And it's like, well, doesn't that defeat the purpose? Like, why do this if you're not gonna accurately represent the games? But so it's all right. I have actually spent quite a bit of time in Phantasy Star 2. I've probably spent like a good hour and a half playing that game, which, if you know that game, I'm still not done the first like dungeon, because you basically have to like go through that multiple times and grind to get your guy. There's the very beginning of that game is quite difficult. There's a big steep difficulty curve in that game, but yeah, so I've been playing it. It's not anything super exciting though. I'm frankly a little bit disappointed with it, but I should have known better to get my expectations up. The promise of it is interesting, and supposedly they're going to be releasing new games every 2 weeks. So that's something that I personally, at least, am going to be keeping my eyes open for. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. I just thought I'd let people know that I did try it, and what's interesting is that it doesn't seem like they're using the same emulation for each game, even though it's all for the same system. It's going to be for something totally different. Like, they're totally differently released games and everything. So
anyway. I want to take a quick pause here. I'm reading through the Q&A questions that were just announced for the stockholders.
Sure.
And they're you know, I do want to say that one of the comments here is Miyamoto said we want to make anime for Pikmin, Star Fox, and Yoshi and distribute it freely or integrate into games. So want to and are making are two different things. Let's just be clear. So question was, where is the GBA Virtual Console?
That's how we answered it?
No. This is the next this is the question. The question is, where is the G? And this is going a little bit into our classics conversation. Yamato answers, looking at ways to develop Virtual Console, Classic Mini is one form of Virtual Console. We can also sell physical, looking to make it as big as we can.
Sell physical as in...
Hey, I'm just reading the words on the screen, buddy. I don't read his mind. We can also sell
I took that statement as, we can do physical too. Like, that's why we're doing all the mini stuff now.
Like all the... Okay.
Well, but he said Classic Mini is one form of VC. We can also sell physical.
So meaning
to make it as big as we can. So maybe it is a cartridge eventually.
Oh, please.
Again, that's a maybe. He didn't say that, but I'm just saying like maybe that's what he's referring to. Wants to make it as big as possible.
Confirmed.
So I apologize. Continue. I wanted to get that.
No. That's good. That's good. And these are always interesting, and we'll definitely have more of an analysis of this next week too.
Question: any chance shareholders can get advance tickets or fast passes at Super Nintendo World? We give our shareholders, we give it to our shareholders through dividends.
So in other words,
shareholders want rewards in different ways. We'll look into it.
Wow, so that is that is such a.
It's one of those things of like, okay, who's giving that guy the mic? Stop it.
Yeah. Hey you, stop. Yeah. That's so funny. Right on. Jesse, what have you been playing, dude?
So, I think on Tuesday, I think yesterday, the RPG Maker Fest was released in North America. But on Friday, the RPG Maker Fest Player was released.
Yes.
So, I don't know which regions had the Maker before us, because there was already content out there playable, but I downloaded a few of them and tried playing them, and I don't know if I'm going to like the stuff that comes out of this thing. I like for the regular overworld type of stuff. I like that type of pixel art that's available to the creators.
Cool. And
so it really looks like, either an advanced, like a late generation NES or early generation Super Nintendo type of graphics. And when you go into a battle, the art style changes to kind of what you'd expect out of like pre-rendered PS1 era graphics. It's like it's kind of shocking, and I don't know if the creators are able to tweak monster levels at all, or if they're all just kind of pretty generic, or if the defaults are just ugly or have ugly stats. But the early games on almost everyone is really hard.
Oh, really?
Like the first one I played, I had 10 hit points. Monster had 20 hit points. I hit it for 3. It hit me for 5. So guess what? I was out in 2 rounds because I didn't have the ability to heal yet. So I'm like, how do I beat this thing? Oh, I guess I do have herbs. So I'm going to have to attack it once, heal myself, attack it again, and then what I ended up missing was I needed to talk to another NPC first to have it join my party, and then I'm able to overwhelm it. But the first time I didn't do that, and I just got handed. Anyway, so maybe in time, once people unlock additional artifacts that can be used, and they kind of like Mario Maker, the things that came out in the first 2 weeks were nothing compared to what ended up after a year and a half of people playing with it. So maybe the content may get better in time. But initially everything is really generic and ugly and not very exciting.
Yeah, my understanding, and I did look at a few reviews of stuff like that of this game, because I remember playing with RPG Maker on the PC probably this would have been like at least like 13 or 14 years ago. Like it was a long time ago. But I remember playing with that and it being very complicated or at least very tedious on how detailed, like also very powerful if you're willing to kind of wade through the menus and like getting all of the stuff together and everything. But like you still have to balance your game, right? Like you can go in and you can create abilities that look really cool and like, but you have to really get into the details of like, okay, well, how much damage does this ability do and what type of damage is it? And it's only really good at creating an RPG that fits within the world that the sprites are in, right? Like especially on the 3DS, I imagine you can't go in there and create like a science fiction RPG or something like that, right? It's like, okay, well, create a story around the characters and the sprites that currently exist within this tool set. And then I think that they're saying they're going to release additional DLC or additional palettes and sprites and all that kind of stuff that creators will be able to use as well.
Yeah, I don't know if they have like a sprite maker at all, or if they're stuck using the assets available to them.
Yeah,
but yeah, I have in like three different dungeons I've downloaded. I already see the reuse of assets between them, so they must start out with a very limited set. Again, kind of like Mario Maker. You started off with a limited set and then it expanded in time.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I actually meant to download the player because I feel like this is something that hopefully there will be something. I honestly feel like it may be more interesting, to me at least. It's more interesting as almost like an interactive story kind of thing. Like I don't necessarily like make it an easy game. Somebody go out there, make an easy game, but like it's a cool narrative, like a cool little like 2 or 3 hour game that you just kind of play through as like a cool narrative thing would be, I think, really cool. But yeah, I don't know. And that's probably, if I were to do this, if I were to get the full game, that's probably what I would end up doing myself, is just more using it as like a little movie maker almost. You know what I mean? Like that you play through and you find it, but almost use it to make a game like kind of like Telltale games or something, you know, like that kind of experience. I don't know if that would be even very good for that, but anyway, yeah, if you I would be interested to know if there's anybody out there who has used an RPG maker like extensively and would suggest it or not. I have tossed the idea of getting this up in the air, but it also seems really time consuming to do anything in it. So anyway, which I really don't have time for. So yeah, any other games that we've been playing before we move on, guys?
Yeah, there's another game I started, didn't get far into it yet, is River City Knights of Justice.
Oh.
Which I thought was... It kind of made itself sound like an RPG in the River City universe. So it uses the same sprite, like, you know, the same art style as like River City Ransom and Super Dodgeball, you know, from that type of game. And in fact, I've never played River City Ransom, you know, beyond like a half hour, but the very beginning of the game showed like a character and it had a name, and then it kind of like changed a little bit. So it's like I'm wondering if it's these characters from River City Ransom kind of like transplanted into this. So, you know, like the same characters, just slightly different personalities and art style. Like you're turning from a brawler into a knight, so yeah, you're going to have armor and a weapon type of thing. But the game isn't exactly what I thought it was going to be. It was still like real-time combat, very similar to River City Ransom. So you pick up rocks, you can like bash their head or throw it, and you know, like the smaller rocks can be thrown a large distance. Larger rocks only goes a few feet, and you can pick up swords that and which also could be thrown or just used like melee combat. And then you're able to pick up additional characters for your party that are just kind of, they just do their own thing, but you're able to, hit the shoulder buttons to change which character you control. So if one's getting in trouble, you can switch to it to control it, and then be more strategic with how to fight or run away if you need to. I haven't found a good way to heal myself yet, so I'm still trying to figure out the game mechanics. And the game, like when it goes to the overworld, it's more of like Mario 3 type of overworld. You just move to the next zone, and then you go into it, and then something happens. And sometimes, like, the path just ends. Like, I know the city's over there, but why can't I go? Because you still have to go, like, select the path, and then some event happens in the path that you have to finish in order to go on. So it's a little bit clunky in terms of that, but if you like, if you like the original, like River City Ransom or that type of gameplay, like real time action games, it's probably worth a try.
Cool. Yeah, if it's for you, then go get it. I don't. Yeah, right on. Right on, man. Okay, I think that's it, hey?
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's hit into Justin. We got more Justin Asks stuff, right?
We did. I did another Justin Asks. So I'm going to go through some of these comments. So,
all right. Well, is that part of listener mail? Is that like a thing?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
okay.
You should hit a bumper. Hit a bumper. Hit a bumper.
There we go. That feels much more. I feel much better now.
Feels better. Feels better.
Much more better.
Feels like a good pair of slacks is what that feels like. Comfortable and supportive. So here's what happened earlier this week. I asked the question: what games? We're talking about third-party games that are coming to Switch. Obviously, Rocket League, Skyrim have come over as well. So the question was: what other games on other consoles do you hope were going to be making an appearance on the Switch? What do you fingers crossed for? So I'm going to go through some of the comments that we received. And again, this is on Justin Ask. You can go over to our YouTube channel, subscribe, and I put out videos about once every week, or try to every week, about a kind of a random topic. Less than 5 minutes, less than 4 minutes actually. I sit in my car on the wrong side of the car and ask questions, and you provide comments.
I actually made a joke about that with my wife when I watched one of your videos. I'm like, look, he's sitting in the passenger seat.
Yeah, it's smart. Yeah. All right, so let's go through some of these ones, and guys, let me kind of hear what you're thinking near the end of it here. So, Callow, big participant in our line chat and a Patreon supporter, says Final Fantasy series, Kingdom Hearts, Persona. He also mentions Cuphead as well. So I think those are some games that he mentioned. Eric Plunk, who's a frequent contributor to our content, Disney Afternoon Collection. This was a huge miss that we talked about from Capcom, saying, like, why is this not here? Rare Replay as well. Obviously, a lot of those classic games being originally on the NES, N64, making an appearance over here on the Switch. Cuphead as well. Daniel mentions Persona 5, Ultimate Ninja Storm Legacy, and Cuphead. So Cuphead appears to already be a huge winner on that one as well. A couple other ones are mentioned here from Clockit. Mentions Diablo 3, Portal 2, GTA 5. So those are a couple ones. Indiana Trekker mentions Battlefront 2. Let's see what else is going on here. Final Fantasy, GTA, Call of Duty, Halo, Last of Us, Shadow of the Colossus. Frosty Boy says Far Cry, Shadow of... Sorry?
I was going to say some of those are like actual Sony-funded exclusives, so...
Yeah. Right.
Totally not happening, but
totally not. But like, if we I'm saying anything. I said anything. So
yeah. Final
Fantasy VII remake would be pretty great. What else on here? G. Atker says Metal Gear Solid 5, Biocommando, Portal 2. We heard Portal 2 again, and of course Marty's Mega Man Collection 2. Right? Yeah, yeah, that would be a pretty good one. Chikajawa says Dark Souls would be huge. Diablo 3. And this one, of course, from Martin and Zach, you'd want this one as Overwatch. Yeah. Overwatch, Darkest Dungeon, Injustice, Tekken 7. So
the thing is with Overwatch is that people immediately say, "Oh, well, it's a handheld thing, and I don't know how much sense that makes to have Overwatch on consoles because then as soon as you leave the house with it, then you can't play it." Same thing goes with Splatoon, and Nintendo has no problem with selling that game. So I call shenanigans on that argument.
Sure. Yeah. A couple other ones that are mentioned here as well. This is from DNAT Hancock. Star Wars, Dragon Ball Z, and Aaron finishes off with Battlefront 2, Persona 5, Fallout 4, Dishonored, Witcher, all those kind of games. So great list of games. Definitely, Zach. I mean, you're right. There are some Sony exclusives, so those would never occur here. But definitely, as going through, you're like, these are some great games. Some of them definitely stand out. There seems to be this definite want for Cuphead. That appears to be a frequent one on here. And I do think there's some low-hanging fruit, right? I do think Rare Replay, the Disney Afternoon Classic collection collection could be a very easy one as well to move over there. So GTA would be interesting on the Switch, very much kind of like a Breath of the Wild as well. So any games from you guys that you really were on there?
I was going to say that GTA one, it wouldn't be the first time that Grand Theft Auto was on a Nintendo console, right? Like there was, granted it was Chinatown Wars, right? Which was on the DS, but I actually owned that game at one point, and for some reason I went through a short time period where I was actually selling games that I had, and I got rid of it. And that's I got rid of that game, and I sold that, and I sold The World Ends With You. And those two games, I wish I had those for DS now because those were awesome. But as for the Switch, I think Overwatch is a good one. Rocket League was one that before E3, that's one that I definitely would have said needs to come over. And they're getting it, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like just about any game, I don't know, like I feel like Nintendo's actually doing pretty well with the third-party games. Like I don't expect games like Anthem to come over, although I would love to be able to play Anthem or Sony's Spider-Man game that they have exclusive to the PS4. Sure. Those are a couple of games that are on those bigger ones that I'm pretty interested in, but there's no way Anthem is coming to Switch, right? Like it's too big budget of a game. I don't know, Justin, if you saw any of the footage from Anthem. It's it looks pretty awesome, right? Like,
it looks pretty sweet, but to your point, probably not going to happen.
It's not happening. Right, so like it's games more like that are like the really big open world. I've continued to play some more Last of Us, which again is a Sony developed game, but it's those very cinematic sort of games that Sony does so well that I think the Switch could maybe do with a few more of those types of games. Like maybe Assassin's Creed or something, right? Like it would be nice to have those, but again, those games are so focused on pushing the technical side of things that I don't think that they're coming to Switch either. So I don't know.
So guys, thanks for contributing to Justin Asks series of videos. Again, that's all on our YouTube channel, so check it out. We got a lot of content going up there as well. We actually did get a mail that came in. I want to actually bring it to our attention because it kind of connects on a lot of things, and this will probably be the last thing before we transition out. So this was actually from Jamie, and Jamie says, "Hey, Nintendo dads, I was excited when I heard about the reveal of the Super NES Classic. It is my favorite retro console. This email is an apology to Zach. When Jesse spearheaded the potential SNES Classic title podcast, I wrote in saying Star Fox 2 should be omitted from that list. Little did I know they'd use the previous unreleased Star Fox 2 as a main selling point. Justin recently did a video on YouTube mentioning some titles that weren't included on that list of 21, the strongest omissions being Donkey Kong Country 2 and Mega Man X2. Do you foresee Nintendo releasing another SNES Classic 2 next year, celebrating some of the other sequels, successful sequels of that era? You guys rock." Jamie.
Yeah. They
No.
freaking better not. No! Don't give them any ideas. Oh my gosh. The last thing we need is, so then you can have the NES and then the Super NES on top of it, and then another Super NES on top of that one. You can have 3 of them. That one better come with a complimentary HDMI splitter, is what that better come with. Right? Like it's getting ridiculous if that happens. Like, I draw the line, good sir. That is not acceptable. They better not do that. Like, the last thing I need is a million little plastic boxes in my entertainment center. I don't need that. I have kids. I have like a child who is going to be 1 year old in like 2 months here. He is a cord puller, and like we're probably gonna have my other 2 kids are old enough that they know not to like shove crackers into all the different openings in different machines now, and now we have a new little rugrat who's probably going to start doing all that again. We're like, we might need to go buy a thing with doors again, because we just bought the cheapest entertainment stand that we could, like little TV stand. It's literally like the ones that are like, 2 pieces of plywood with 4 legs. It's just totally open. That's not going to work for very much longer. And so long story short, no, don't do the SNES Classic 2. My goodness, that is unacceptable. Just stop. And I don't think it would work either. I think that, more importantly,
I think if they wanted to expand on it, they'd have the ability to kind of do kind of what we talked about earlier, is having a virtual console machine. So, the box that has the emulator on it comes with prepackaged ROMs, but the ability to go online and buy more ROMs.
Yeah. And I think that really, the Classics line is similar to their mobile line. I think that it's really important to think about that strategy in the same way. They're not going to be there. Like, I don't think this Classics line is a long-term strategy. I think that what they do is they release the NES Classic or the SNES Classic. They keep it around long enough to, in order for people to like pick that up and think, oh man, I really enjoyed playing that. Oh man, I wish I would play more Nintendo games. I'd love to do that. Oh, they have a bunch of those other games on the Switch, plus all these other games I want to play. Maybe I'll just go buy a Switch, right? Like, that's what I see. However, now as I'm saying that, I'm actually convincing myself that it is likely that they have some sort of Classics line for sale during every holiday season. Now that I say that, like,
oh yeah, for sure they will.
Like the SNES Classic this year, and then there will be some sort of Classics hardware thing next year, and it'll be something different. Yeah, crap. You know what? I don't like. You know what they should do though is that they should have one that works with Joy-Cons, or something, right? Like, I don't know what works. Here's what you do is that. And it'll be the Wii Classic Mini instead, and it'll just be Wii Sports again. Right? I don't know, something like that. Who knows? Because I don't think that a lot of people have the same nostalgia. You can't get away with the same nostalgia grab for the 64 or the GameCube. I think that you then go to the Wii. That's the next piece there, and you wouldn't even have to put that many games in it. You put Wii Sports, Wii Play. I don't know. Mario something, I don't know. Anyways, that sports is dead. I don't need to go on another rant about this. Any final thoughts? Did we answer his questions, or like did I just was I just triggered and go off the rails?
I think you did all right.
Both. I think both is the answer. Well, right on. Thanks everybody for your feedback, your information, your all of your input. We really appreciate you guys being active participants. Right on. Yeah, here we go in the comments. Wii Classic Mini U XL confirmed.
Galaxy Edition.
Yeah. So I think so. Here's what I'm thinking, guys. Moving forward, Justin, I don't know how you where your head is at here. We have some retro rewinds that we need to catch up on here. I'm not saying tonight, but soon. Let's let's prioritize that like within the next couple of weeks. I think getting
Yeah.
that episode.
Yeah.
Maybe even like because Nintendo clearly is not interested in getting us more of these. Like, let's even pick another one for the next week or for the next month. So people look for Patreon stuff about.
A couple. I guess we'll talk about that. I mean, a couple of business things here. For those of you that are on Patreon, we're excited to announce that Marty Estes will now be our Patreon community manager. So you see very active participation in that group, and Marty's going to be heading that. Zoink. We have posted up on our YouTube channel as well, but please take a listen to it. It's about 30 minutes, a great interview with Alexandria and Mikhail from Zoink talking about flipping death. We're going to put that at the back end of this episode, so do that as well. And also a big shout out. I saw some stuff on Twitter about it recently. We actually got a review copy of Goner for the the Nintendo Switch. It hit the eShop today. You can download it. Marty is reviewing that, and we said Marty's off today. But I would definitely say, check any commentary he may be saying on Twitter. But I know he's very excited and have been enjoying it. So if you're waiting to hear maybe feedback about Goner before you purchase it, Marty should be back on the show next week and can give you that feedback and that Let's Play and his impressions. But a lot going on in the world of Nintendo and Nintendo Dads. Content we're putting up on YouTube as well. So guys, check out everything we do. And before, thanks for subscribing and supporting everything that we do. We greatly appreciate it.
Ernsberger?
I didn't say it. Sure.
Sure. You know what? If you want to become a Patreon producer, you can go over to patreon.com/Nintendo Dads, and I will botch your name as well. So thank you for that. As well, thank you to everybody over there. Go to patreon.com/Nintendo Dads to support us. You guys are awesome. If you want to follow us on all the social medias in general, which you should be because we're announcing a cool contest thing this week, so check that out. You can win Nintendo Dads swag. So that's all I'm going to say. There's a tease. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Nintendo Dads. If you want to get our videos, go over to youtube.com/c/Nintendo Dads. You can also find us on Twitch. Just look for us. You'll find us. If you want to call in and leave us a voicemail, you can do so at 929-25-NDADS. That's 929-256-3237. If you want some Nintendo Dads merch, go to tiny.cc/Nintendo Dads store. Huge thanks to OC Remix for our music throughout the show, as well as to both Carter Johnson and Adam Leonard for amazing artwork. And if you want to change the world, which I know you do, head over to iTunes or Apple Podcasts, whatever, Stitcher, and all your pod player of choice. Leave us a 5-star review. Written reviews are even better. Handwritten notes with a
cute.
Yeah, and hand it to your friends saying, "Listen to Nintendo Dads." All of those things help us get the word out. So that spread the Nintendo Dads gospel. By writing those reviews and recommending to your friends and all that stuff. And, of course, if you want to subscribe to the show, you can do so on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and, of course, VGTribune.com. For me, for Justin, for Jesse, and for the Camping Marty, we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Nintendo Dads.
Right on.